Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Adult Chair on rashpixel.elf. Is it the holiday spirit that anytime I say F, it's going to be elf? Is that right? Is that what it's going to be? I'm going to try that again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Adult Chair on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and right over there is Michelle Chalfant.
Hello, Pete Wright.
Hello, Michelle. This is podcast gold right here. Just listen to Pete screw up. How are you feeling good? You say you have too much coffee today. What does that do to you?
Here's the thing. I'm so sensitive to chemicals in general. So me having too much coffee means I had 2 half-calf, which I make at home. I have an Nespresso machine. So I just had 2 half-calves cups of coffee. So really, I've had 1 full caffeinated, and I'm flying. My heart is racing right now. I'm like, it's just too much. I can only handle 1 cup, and I'm done. So I just love the taste of it. I'd have tons, but I can't handle it. So
yeah.
You know.
I have not had enough, so hopefully we'll balance each other out today. That's what I'm hoping. We're going to be talking about managing holiday gatherings from the Adult Chair. Oh my goodness, how timely this is!
No kidding.
Yeah,
it's a hot topic.
Hot topic. I always go back to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which is our family's holiday movie.
Oh, that is my favorite.
Oh, it's so good. And the line that we use, like as soon as family shows up, it's Rusty's, where first Clark turns around and says, "I'm going to go outside and park the cars, and I'll see you next spring." Oh, I gotta park the car and feed the hog and do my homework and like all the things just to get away from family. That's pretty much our thing. Bring them all together and then hide from them. That's pretty much how you manage. I hope you have better insights than that. Before we get started, we have a little bit of housekeeping, and we'll try to keep it quick. First of all, for those who haven't heard, we are in Spotify now, which is huge.
I guess so. I just learned what Spotify is.
Please share your exuberance. You may be exuberant now.
My husband and kids were so excited, and I was like, Spotify? I'm not a tech person. Everybody knows that. But I have listened to a few songs on Spotify, so I think it's a good thing. It's a great thing. I can share your enthusiasm. Okay, it's a great thing.
Good job. That's what I was hoping for. That you did it. You did fine.
I'm so excited.
I'm actually very excited because Spotify has been it's been a ridiculously long queue before they've started opening up to more and more podcasts. If you are a Spotify subscriber, even if you are not, you can create an account over there for free and follow the Adult Chair right there in Spotify. All the back episodes are in there, and it's available right now. And we've been seeing people do it. I love the little statistics I can go in and see. There are people who are actually listening to the show right there in Spotify. So welcome,
so cool.
Spotify users. If you're tired of carrying around multiple apps, but all your music's in Spotify, now you can do that with us right there. And an update on these. We've gotten a lot of email from people who are so kind, who have stopped to take a minute to give us a review in iTunes, which is unfortunately still the biggest directory for podcasts. And yes, iTunes reviews are enormously helpful for us to have other people discover the show, but it's also clearly broken. The review process is hidden. It's very difficult to find if you haven't found it, and instructions on how to do it are few and far between that are clear and solid instructions depending on what platform you're using. It's a mess. And so we're sorry about that. But you know what? If you still are inclined to help us and to support the show, there is a way you can do it that honestly is even better on reflection, is even better than leaving us a review in iTunes. And that is, think of someone, or 1 or 2 people who you believe would benefit from this show. If you like it, if you're getting something out of it, all we ask is that you share it with them. Share it with 1 or 2 people that you feel like would benefit from Michelle's insights, would benefit from the Adult Chair model, from thinking about their own lives and their relationship with their own inner child and their own true self, and just forward the show to them. Just forward it along. However you see fit. You know what? We don't even care. You want to send them a text message? You can send them a text. Just ask them to search for the Adult Chair in their podcast app. However you want to do it.
Or in Spotify.
You could do it right there. that would help us.
Yeah, definitely. Please share the show. I want to help as many people, and this is free, and people love the adult chair. It's so user friendly. So I really want to help people learn how to live from a really healthy place in the highest version of themselves. So help us just get this message around. So please share the show. That would be fantastic.
Yes, that's it. Okay. Let's dig into the dirt. Let's do it. We're getting into the family. All right. What's your worst family holiday? Do you remember?
Oh God, yes. Like growing up with the drunk uncle and all that stuff. Yeah, always.
This is file that under when do you most wish you had known about the adult chair?
Oh,
right?
please.
In your
I wish my
past.
parents had lived in their adult chairs, so then I could have learned how to do it when I was growing up, which is how we teach our children. And I did not have that kind of modeling. So I had the modeling. Someone's ruining the holidays. We're going to sweep it under the carpet and wake up the next day like nothing happened, which would enrage me inside. I'm like, something did happen. Can we talk about it? No. Let's just let that go. I'm like, no. I really want to talk about it. So it was hard for me.
I also had some alcoholics, but interesting that my clearest memory is I have these two wonderful aunts. They're delightful. They were younger and fought a lot, and our holidays were marked by their knockdown, drag-out fights. And the clearest memory of it is one of them turned to the other who was not, it was a typical, it felt like a movie. One of them was banging on the bathroom door saying, "Get out of the bathroom, you've been in there too long." And the one in the bathroom opened the door and threw the hairdryer at her sister so hard it gashed her forehead, and that was Christmas morning. So, we all got them. Everybody
Welcome
has to the club.
Everybody has them. Everybody has someone in their family, if not numerous family members or friends or in-laws or whomever, that we have a difficult time being with. So this has been coming up a lot in the adult chair closed group. I have had clients so far the last 2 days, and people are already asking me, I got to talk to you about Christmas. Can you give me some advice? How do I do Christmas? My in-laws are coming. My mother's coming. My brother's coming. And this is how they're going to act. And I don't know what to do. How do I stay in my adult chair? So this is like the perfect timing. So I'm going to jump right in. And this is a lot of information. So I'm thinking if you can pull just one or two even ideas. If you can take all of them, that's great. But even just one or two ideas that really resonate with you, take those ideas and cling to those through the holidays, because all of these ideas are really helpful for us as we learn how to manage ourselves during the holidays and with family and friends. So one of the most important things, here's the first one that we want to do, is we want to keep in touch with ourselves. In other words, where am I? Where am I? Where am I sitting when my family is on their way to my house? When my friends are coming? When I'm on my way walking into my so-and-so's house, my in-law's house? Am I coming into the party or the gathering from my adult chair or from my adolescent chair? How do we know which chair we're in?
Oh, I got an idea.
Yes, let's hear it.
Because we're defensive. We're defensive, right?
Yes. And
we can feel our guard up.
Exactly. This is what I use this terminology. Are you walking in with your sword and your shield up already?
Totally.
Or are you walking in, leaving the sword and the shield in the car? So,
and you use that language. I find I use that language. Old Uncle Brownie, he's gonna be fill in the blank.
Yes.
They're going to be...
We are making up stories and assumptions based on something that may or may not have happened in the past, or we make up stories and assumptions based on something that someone told us. So even if it's true, when we're trying to come into a gathering from a centered place, we can't do it from the adolescent chair. We cannot do it from stories and assumptions. So we want to go in, connected to myself. So that means taking a breath before you walk in the door, taking a breath before these people walk in the door, staying connected to myself. I find too, like when I go back to my family for Christmas, I become Michelle in my family of origin. So, I'm older than my sister. I have a certain relationship with my sister. I have a certain relationship with my cousin. So, you know how we kind of revert to who we were when we grew up.
Mhm.
So we want to become mindful that as much we can still cut up and have fun and be funny, but I want to remember, but wait a minute, I'm a little bit different now because I want to stay connected to myself. I want to notice maybe when a boundary is getting violated or when something makes me feel uncomfortable. I won't know that unless I'm staying connected to myself. So we want to make sure that we're showing up in our adult chair, which is centered, which is assuming the best. So again, I don't want to stay I don't want you to make assumptions, but we're just going to think the best thoughts. So you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to have a pleasant time. It's like, what intentions are you setting for your vacation, for when people come visit you? Set intentions every single day throughout the day. We're going to have a lovely meal. Everything's going to go well. Energy follows intention. So really blaze the trail for what you want. Don't think the worst because you'll get the worst. So let's start out with staying connected to yourself. Okay. Secondly, we want to remember when we slide out of the adult chair to ask ourselves, what's true? What's true or a fact? Remember, if we're lost in story or assumption and we're worried this is going to happen, that's going to happen, or he's probably going to show up like this. Okay, what do I know that's fact and truth? And we might say, well, the last Christmas he was drunk, but what else do I know that's true? Well, he hasn't been drinking in 6 months. Or, well, they haven't been appropriate with so-and-so. Maybe they won't be inappropriate with me today. Again, it's about asking ourselves, what's fact and truth? What's fact and truth? And when we ask ourselves that question, it takes us out of the drama and it can even stop our ruminating thoughts. Because those thoughts are going on and on and on and on and on. Well, like that's when I have to say, hold on, what do I know that's true right this second, right in this moment? Well, I'm making dinner. No one's even here yet. Okay, then why am I living in the future of something that may or may not happen? What I can do is set my intentions based on something that I'd like to have happen, which is a lovely meal. I want to have a really beautiful experience. What else do you want? How else do you want it to go? Again, we're back to the intentions, but I'm making the meal would be what's happening right now in this minute and that's what's fact and truth.
It's grounding. Exactly.
We want to really ask for what we need and what we want. You know, I remember, I've been at holidays, you know, there's sometimes 40 some people for like Thanksgiving or Christmas when I go back, with my family. And there'd be like buzzing, you know, and sometimes friends come over. It's like all kinds of people come over. But sometimes I've had experiences where someone's bitching about so-and-so that's not helping set the table. Can you believe?
There's always somebody who's not
There's
setting the
always
table.
someone who's not setting the table or not clearing the table or not helping in the kitchen or not blah, 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 right? So then usually there's someone whispering, can you believe she's sitting on her ass on that couch and not getting up and not helping with dishes?
Yeah.
But what I've learned as I learned the work of the adult chair is instead of me participating in the gossip, right? What I realize is that's not going to make them get up and help you set the table.
Right.
So why don't we go ask them to help set the table? So I've had to do that or say, hey, would you come help? Would you mind helping us clear the table and do dishes? 9 out of 10 times that person will say, oh yeah, sure. Like it doesn't even dawn on them that they're not helping. So we have to remember that not everybody has the same family that we had growing up. And maybe that wasn't important to them growing up. Or maybe, who knows, like based on their own childhood stuff or their own family of origin stuff or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But if you're not getting what you need, then ask. Now, there was this came up in the closed group. Someone was having an experience where she was going to church and she was going to sing a solo and she'd invited her family to come. It was really, really meaningful for her to come, or excuse me, for the family to come. And her family said, I'm sorry, you know, I've got other things or so-and-so still going to be here. I'm not going to be able to make it to church to see you. So this person was very, very upset and they were hurt. That could happen. So I want to let everyone know that could absolutely happen, but we don't know why people are responding in that way. And when we give something meaning, and I've said this before in other shows, that's where we get in trouble. So what we can do is say to ourselves, okay, no one's going to show up and see me sing this solo except for my husband and children. Okay. Period. It makes me sad. Okay. It's fine. Like I would be sad if none of my family was coming. Absolutely fine. Be sad. Sit in that sadness. That's healthy. Where we don't want to go is giving it meaning. So the meaning is something like, Well, they don't care about me because they're not coming and they always put me last. And I guess I'm not important to them. And that's giving it meaning that we don't know that's true. That's why we got to go back to what's fact and truth. It's stopping with the meaning. Like, well, we start going into that story land, which really gets us in trouble.
And those stories, you talk about the people not doing the dishes. What doesn't help is just going in and doing all the dishes. Right?
Exactly.
There's a martyr.
And then martyring yourself.
Right,
then you're a martyr and I'm a victim and nobody helps me.
Oh, it's the holidays. It's the season of martyrdom. There's no helping there.
Yeah. You have to ask for, what do you need? Do you need help bringing all the gifts in from the car? Well, then ask for it. Why are you, people are not all psychic. They don't know what you need. They do not know what you want. Ask for help.
And you know what else is okay? It's okay for someone to just be oblivious, right? Naturally, there are people who naturally live more inside their heads than out. And it may be legitimately and non-maliciously true that they just didn't notice that you were doing all the work. They just didn't notice. And until you ask, they won't. They won't notice. And you know what? They won't care that you're upset because they probably won't notice that either. And they don't mean anything by it.
Exactly. We don't know what happened to get them to this place. We don't know we weren't in their bodies. We don't know if they have past lives or no past lives or childhood experience. I don't know what happened. Maybe that wasn't important in your family. Maybe your mother did everything for you. And then you're now an adult, an adult, and your mother always did it. So you don't even think to get off the couch.
Right. Right.
So how can we sit and judge that person? They don't know. So tell people what you want and what you need. What are you focusing on? That's a big one. It's like, again, if they're not doing something that you want them to do, ask for it and stop focusing on what they were not doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We also tend to focus on things that might have happened in our past. This is a big one because we tend to focus on things we don't want. Well, I'm really afraid that this is going to happen. Well, stop focusing on that. What do you want to have happen again? Instead, it's those intentions. I remember when I first met my in-laws, and, they come from a very, very, very different family than me. And it's not only what are you focusing on, but what are you judging? So it's like my in-laws are non-emotional. I come from this crazy, chaotic, emotional, drama-filled existence, and they're the complete opposite. Like, don't really say much. They're not going to say things that would be controversial. It's like no fighting. Or my family was, more Italian, crying, yelling, all that stuff. So anyway, I remember when I first met my in-laws and being at, their house for like a Christmas or something, I was like, so quiet. It's like so weird. What's wrong with these people? I don't understand. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me.
So you probably think it's you. Like they're all quiet because they don't know how to relate to you.
No, way back when I was like, there's something wrong with these people. Right? There's something wrong with them. So then we want to look at again, like, what am I focusing on? Well, there's something wrong with them. Well, no. Maybe they're just different than I am. And here's something. When you have in-laws or you have people that you're spending time with that are different than you, ask yourself this question. This will come from your adult. What can I learn from them? What's positive about what they're doing? And that is what I eventually started doing. I didn't sit for years and years in judgment for sure, but I did for a while. I was like, God, this is so bizarre to me. Like, it's like nothing I've ever seen, because a lot of my friends growing up were Italian too. So it was like, that was my norm. I was just loud, crazy, chaotic. So now here I am in this very quiet, very nice and polite, but very quiet. So I started saying, what's good about this? I'm like, oh, well, I really do feel kind of quiet and peaceful here. It's different, but it's quiet and peaceful. So I was able to appreciate it. And sometimes they don't talk about anything, that's, what did my father-in-law ask me a few weeks ago? He's like, do you have like a cleaning lady? I hope you don't mind me asking, but how much is that? I'm like, why is that? Like, why would you even think that would ever bother me? Like, just ask me. Like I always say that to him. That's not a personal question. Like, I guess it's because I live in this boundaryless, family. But I'm like, what? You're asking me if I have a cleaning lady? How's that personal? How much? Whatever. But I really get now, like, there's something to be said for that. And I actually can appreciate them now. So I've
That's
more
interesting.
become like a balance of where I came from and them. And I really try to see, I've seen the positive and the peace that they can have. It's different than mine, but I see that there's a positive there. So what is it if someone's annoying you, remember everybody's here to mirror us. So they're showing us something about ourselves. So look inside. What are they showing you about you that you either don't want to see or that you might be able to then take and bring into your own life?
That's perfect because it keeps you out of your own head.
Yes.
It's always more interesting, to be interested in other people than it is in yourself, right? I mean, you're always going to get more out of the world if you show and share your interest in others, rather than just think about how they're impacting you.
Yes.
You'll get what you give, people.
Yes, for sure. Here's another one. This is a big one. Accepting people for who they are. Again, I did this with my in-laws because, again, let's face it, you guys, like people that have in-laws typically and oftentimes our in-laws are not the same as our family that we grew up with because they're just not. No two families are identical. So when we can learn how to accept people for who they are, and that means showing up at their house or knowing they're coming to your house and not anticipating them to be any different than who they already are.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Not projecting your expectation of them.
Yeah. Like let people be who they are. And then when they show up, don't expect them to change. Like I remember thinking with my own in-laws, like, why aren't they more emotional? Why don't they talk about anything? Like I am a deep when I go into conversation,
Mm-hmm.
I go deeper than most. Like you're a Scorpio.
Yeah, right.
I'm a Scorpio. It's like, whoa, people are like, wow, you're deep. And my in-laws are not like that. So I can't expect them. And I used to, I expected everybody to be just like me. I remember in my 20s, like everyone should be like me. No, they shouldn't. Everyone's going to be who they are. And the faster we can accept people for who they are, the happier and more peaceful we become and we stay that way. And that's what this whole goal is for us, is to stay peaceful and in emotional balance. Don't expect anybody. This is huge. This is like a tweetable moment, Pete. Like Oprah says that.
A tweetable moment.
Yeah. Oprah always says like, tweet. You should be tweeting this right now. Here we go. You ready?
Okay.
Don't expect anyone outside of you to bring you peace and you emotional balance. It's your job. And everything that we're talking about today is how do you stay in emotional balance? So when you can accept people, now I'm not saying to accept an abuser by any means, but what I'm saying is when people show up and they're different than you or they're different than your family, but they're okay, like they're not being abusive or they're not showing up drunk, accept them. What can you learn from them? Accept them for who they are. Appreciate them. There's always something we can appreciate about something else. But let me tell you, the ego or the adolescent chair will be like, oh no, they're different and they're wrong. No, they're not.
Yeah, we always run into we butt heads around cultural differences, and that's where things tend to escalate. Like, I noticed you showed up to our house on Thanksgiving in a tie and your finest dresses, but we only wear pajamas at our house on Thanksgiving. How are we going to figure that out? Now it's weird, right?
Yes.
It's when those things that's like, you like the high jump, but I only have low ceilings. How are we going to make those two things work together?
Yes.
That we have to sort of take ownership of what is worth going to the mat on, and what is worth really just learning and adapting and seeing maybe they have a point. Maybe their culture is something that would cause yours to grow and bloom and blossom together.
And really, again, it's like, is it that big of a deal?
Yeah, right.
Like in the grand scheme of life, if my job is to keep myself in emotional balance and stay in peace, it's funny you say that because I had a client who was just on the other day that was telling me about last year, she and her new husband, she married into a family that was much more uptight on the holidays. And she and her family would go to midnight mass. And then the next morning they'd be in pajamas until like 2:00 and the kids would play with their toys and everyone would sit around and have coffee and brunch. And it was lovely. Well, her new husband's family would show up at 8:00 in the morning after going to midnight mass, fully decked out and dressed to the nines for a beautiful meal. They'd open up the gifts and then have a beautiful, Christmas lunch. But I mean, the table was set a week ahead of time with the finest china. Everything's catered. My client's like, I like to cook everything. And the new mother-in-law was like, nope, I cater it. That's how I do it. And I'm doing it in your house.
Cater it. Wow.
And I'm doing it in your house. So I said to my client, how can you stay in balance? And this is the next one. Here's a hot topic for a lot of people: boundaries. And what do we tolerate? Ask yourself this question: what will keep me in peace? And this goes into the next one also. Do I let this go, or do I really push against this? How much is it going to ruin my day if I've got to get up now and shower at 8:00 and get myself dressed to the nines? If this is important to my mother-in-law, they've done it like this for 25 years, even though I've done the pajama thing with my kids, for the last 15 years. Really, like, okay, who needs to be flexible? Can I flex, or can my mother-in-law? Sometimes we just got to let things go.
Right.
Because if I push against it, it will create a huge family blowout, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, I want to stay in my peace and in my balance.
Yeah, I'd actually like to have a nice holiday.
Yeah.
My ultimate goal is to have a nice holiday, and sometimes that means I have to be the reed that bends in the wind.
Exactly. So because now I'm remarried into this family, how can I change my Christmas day? So, we talked about, hey, maybe then on Christmas Day, since you have to get out of pajamas really early, it would be really fun to create a new tradition where maybe you're getting in pajamas really early that night. And you sit around and you lay around, you build a fire and let everyone play with their toys in the evening, since you're having an early morning brunch and lunch. And I was like, oh, so there are other options. And we find other options from the adult chair. It's like, okay, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. It's like, yeah, it might not be the best thing that you want to do, but is it worth creating a huge family fight?
Rarely.
It's like, let it go. It's okay. Yeah. Some things are okay. However, we need to talk about boundaries.
Because some things are not okay.
Some things are not okay. Like, I grew up with many, lots of drinking, and there was one, the uncle was the abusive one. And unfortunately, there was not a boundary that was ever set. There was not a boundary that was said, like, you don't come over here and pull this bullshit on the holiday. And if you keep doing it, you're not going to be allowed to come back.
Yeah.
So that should have been said many, many, many holidays, and it wasn't. But if someone's coming up drunk or being abusive or being inappropriate, a boundary absolutely needs to be set. If someone is violating you in any way, a boundary needs to be set, which is something like, this is not okay. And I want to remind everybody, a boundary is simply saying the word no. It's a complete sentence. Another thing is, this is not okay, is a boundary. That sentence, that statement is powerful. Or you say, this is not okay with me. That's all you got to say. Yeah, Don't do this, please. This is not okay with me.
This is not okay is not equal to picking a fight.
Exactly.
And I think that's sometimes where we end up, right? It's like, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm being abused. I feel like I'm in defense mode. My sword and shield are up, and we forget that it may be us. We may be the ones that are escalating.
And I think we should post again, Pete, in the show notes, or you guys go back and look at the podcast we did on boundaries versus confrontation, because a confrontation is very different than a boundary. A boundary teaches other people how you want to be treated. A confrontation is starting a big old fight, and you're coming in with your sword and your shield, and you're ready for battle. A boundary is telling someone else and expressing to someone else, this experience is not okay with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not making it about you. I'm making it about me. And you have violated my boundary in some way.
Right.
Whether it be you talk to my kid in a certain way that I don't like, whether it be that that you're talking to my wife or my husband or my partner or my boyfriend, which, by the way, this is another hot topic. I have to mention this one. This is a big one. If you are bringing someone to the holiday to your family of origin. So let's just pretend, Pete, you're my boyfriend, and I bring you to my house. Okay. Yeah. You show up at my house where my family, my sister, my cousins, and everybody are. Okay. And someone is not polite or rude to you in some way, shape, or form. It is my job, because it's my family, to go to my family and say, this is not okay with me. This is my boyfriend. You have disrespected him. And if you can't get it together, we will not be back. This comes up so often. So if you are partnered with somebody and you're going to their house It is the person that is linked to that family that is responsible to keep that person safe. So it's my job to keep you safe if you're coming to my family.
Right.
So
you get to own it. You get to own that relationship.
Yes. If you're bringing your wife to your parents' house and they're not nice to your wife, you stand up to your family and you say, no way.
All the more reason to put yourself in the adult chair before you even walk through the door. You've got to know exactly where that boundary is before you're confronted with it.
Exactly. And the other thing that happens, this just happened with a client just now. She just left. She was saying, her husband doesn't see the inappropriateness of his stepfather. And I said, well, you need to let him know that he needs to be in the room with you and to pay attention to when your stepfather or when the stepfather does X, Y, or Z. And if it happens, he needs to step up to his stepfather and say, you don't treat my wife like that. That was inappropriate.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's not to say that if someone does something to me that I wouldn't say, please don't do that again. That's inappropriate, even if it's my husband's family. But ultimately, I have this question all the time. Whoever's house it is, whoever family it is, it's that person's job to protect their spouse, their girlfriend, their boyfriend from their family if the family's being inappropriate or rude or disrespectful. And a lot of husbands I've heard, they leave their wives to the wind. They just let it go and go, I didn't even see it. Or, oh, well, you can say something to my mother, she'll hear it from you. Bullshit.
Yeah.
It pisses me off because it's like, no. Protect that person that you're bringing home with you. It's your job.
And we're not talking about protecting them forever, right? Like there comes a point where they're part of the family and they're going to take care of themselves. Really? Like I'm looking at like 10 years down the road. If I take my wife, I've been married for 20 years almost, right? If I take my wife to my family and they're kind of regular visitors, like she's going to step up before I even have a chance to.
Absolutely. And I said that, like if someone said something to me, I'd be like, no, you don't talk to me like that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. It's important that then your spouse, your boyfriend, your whomever stands with you and by you in what you are saying. Mm-hmm. So if you then turn and go, well, it's my mom, Kira, it's my mom. So you guys just have your thing. No. No,
that's not a thing. Yeah. We don't.
Exactly.
We don't truck with that.
Exactly. So it's your job to keep your wife safe in your family. I don't care if you've been married 40 years.
Yeah.
If there's something funky going on and inappropriate or someone's being rude or disrespectful when you're not in the room and your wife keeps telling you and she's trying to set boundaries with your mom or your dad or your whomever, it's your job ultimately to go back to your mom and say, you know what? I see how you're treating my wife and it's just not okay. So they'll end with this because I want to give you guys a few tools. Watch your codependency at the holidays. Because people oftentimes take advantage of the codependents in the group because they'll do everything and they'll exhaust themselves. Mm-hmm. So just be mindful. If you feel like you are a fixer and you're here to take care of everybody else, be really mindful of when you feel drained, of if you have codependency tendencies. Let's use this holiday to start asking for help.
Yeah.
Let's stop assuming that you know how to take care of everybody and fix everybody. Let's stop that, or at least not stop it altogether because I know that's hard to do, but let's just start asking for help, or let's start pulling back a little bit and not giving so much. Mm-hmm. Again, we could talk about this for a long time.
I'll post the last codependency episode we did too, which was really good. There are a lot of really good tools in there. And so check the show notes for that as well.
Okay, I want to end on this. So here are some really quick tools. So these are ways to get you unstuck. If you're really feeling like, oh God, I'm in a really bad place. I don't know how to get out. My mind is going like crazy. Remember, emotional freedom technique, EFT, is a fabulous way to get unstuck. Okay. I have that live video. It's on the YouTube channel. I don't think it's on the website. I say that to you every time. I think it's just on YouTube.
I always include it in the website and the show notes and everything. It's there.
Okay. You can put your hand on your heart and your hand on your belly and just take some deep breaths that connects the adult to the child part. We can imagine a waterfall of water, of light, of whatever you'd like that streams down the top of your head to wash you off of any sort of negative energy or craziness. That really is helpful. It just clears you out. And when everyone leaves at the end of the night, or even if people are staying with you, Do a sea salt bath. 2 cups of sea salt in a bathtub cleans out your whole energy field, balances your chakras. It just helps you to get back in balance. Stay there for at least 20 minutes. And the last thing is, for those of you that are empaths, meaning we take on everyone else's energy, we get tired really easily, a black tourmaline crystal in your pocket is fabulous for helping keeping you safe and clear, energetically speaking. So I'm going to end on that note. Black tourmaline or black obsidian.
All right. We will end it there. That's it.
There you go. I went really fast, but there's a lot of hot tips in there. So there you have it.
Well, I hope that is useful for you, everybody. Thank you for downloading and listening. Make sure to check those show notes and for any of those resources. And, I've started adding chapters to the podcast. If you're using a podcast client like Overcast on your mobile device, you will now see chapters. So you can jump back and forth to topics in the podcast that you may feel like you've missed. It's an easy way to scrub around and grab the right links at the right time. So hopefully that's helpful. And there you go. Thank you so much, Michelle. I think this is the last time I'm going to talk to you. I think you have one more thing planned, but this is my last time for the year. So I will go ahead and say to everybody, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy everything. I hope you have a calm and peaceful new year, and I will be back after the first of the year, 2018. Yeah. Wow.
I've been saying 2018 for like 2 months. I must be really excited about that year.
You're getting ready. Yeah, it's a big one. All right.
So
well, thank you, Michelle. On behalf of Michelle Chalfant, I'm Pete Wright. We'll catch you next time right here, seated firmly in the adult chair.